go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got Smalls himself today. How many times are you tired of hearing "You're killing me, Smalls"?
You know what? Truthfully, when I was younger, it used to kind of get to me. I think probably because I was short. So when people call me Smalls, it kind of triggered something in my brain as a kid. But I love it now. I think I get a kick out of it. I dig it. Yeah, I really enjoy it actually.
It's this movie and Remember the Titans are my two favorite all-time sports movies. A lot of people got Rocky in there. A lot of people got, insert whatever you want to insert. But these two stuck with me so much. How did you get on this role, I guess, is what I'm going to ask. So.
Well, actually, when I was a kid, I lived in New York. And I lived right across the street from the school I went to. And they did a lot of school plays. Yeah. And I was kind of a shy kid, so they encouraged me to do it to try to get me out of my shell a little bit. And I started doing like a first grade play, and I really liked it. I enjoyed doing it. So when I moved to Jersey, the school I went to didn't do school plays, so I kept begging my mom, and then she brought me to a theater in Princeton, New Jersey, and I did A Christmas Carol, and an agent saw me, put me in her agency in Manhattan. And I think Sandlot was like my 6th audition. Yeah. And they flew me out to California, and I didn't get the part. They gave the part to somebody else. And I think they filmed for a week or so, and they were like, it's not working out. So they brought me back out, and then they I think they rehired a couple other actors. I think Ham was recast, I was recast, and they switched some roles around with the other guys. And that's how it happened.
I mean, it's crazy that like there's two big movies like this that's kind of happened where they've recast essentially the main role. That first one being Back to the Future.
Yes.
Marty wasn't supposed to be. Shit. Fuck.
It was Eric Stoltz.
Michael J. Fox. I couldn't think of his name.
Michael J. Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be him. And then same thing with you guys. It just wasn't working. And then boom. How big was this movie when you were young? I mean, I know it's big now, but was it huge for you? It did
okay. I mean, it did okay in the theater. It got a little bit popular, but it wasn't like a huge mega hit. Yeah. I think it was more on like VHS, DVD, and going on TV. Like after a few years, it started getting kind of like a cult following, and I really realized how popular it was. I was walking around the mall with my kids, and I saw some guy walking by, and he had "The Legends Never Die" with all of us on it. Yeah. It was the first time I saw the shirt, and I was like, I stopped, and I was like, dude, that's me, man. I go, that's me, and he's like, whatever, bro, and like keeps walking. He didn't believe me, but that's when I realized. I was like, damn, they're making like T-shirts and stuff. I thought it was crazy. Yeah. But, forgive me too the way I talk. I got Bell's palsy. Yeah. And so like it shuts the nerves down in the muscles in the face. Yeah. So if I'm talking kind of weird, that's because of the palsy. Man.
You ain't gotta apologize for that shit, man. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and one of my favorite voice of my childhood, essentially, good old J.R. Smith, man. Same thing. I don't give a fuck. It don't bother me none. And if any of the people that are watching got an issue, fuck off. That's the only thing I'm gonna say, man. So you ain't gonna apologize for nothing. I like that hat though, brother. I'm a huge Mr. T fan. That's dope.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I actually my wife made this for me. I got this patch on eBay. I was like, I need to get this Mr. And so she sewed it onto this hat for me. I was like, this is dope, dude.
Man, you should start putting them out there and just have your wife just start sewing them in the back, putting them on eBay now, man.
Yeah, exactly, right? Cool.
So when you were doing this role, you said, it didn't start hitting real big, or you didn't notice it until that VHS, that T-shirt when you're out and about. Do you remember how old you were when you noticed, like, oh man, I'm getting recognized for this shit all the time?
Yeah, I think it was probably about a year after the movie. We went to like Lake George, me and my family, and it's upstate New York, kind of like secluded. Yeah. And another family that was there recognized me from the movie, and that's when I think like even like my brother and sister, like, that's weird, like they finally hit them that, and it hit me too. It's like, oh wow, can't go anywhere for a while. As I got older, I think I started looking a little different, and I didn't. But it's crazy because even once in a while, still to this day, almost 30 years later, I was actually was picking up a card for Mother's Day, and some little kid was in front of me. He looks at me and he starts going like this to his mom, and mom like bends down, he whispers in his mom's ear, and then she looks at me, and she's like, no, and then she looks at me again, and I'm like, oh my god, this kid just recognized me, man. So it's crazy. You still get recognized sometimes.
Well, it's always funny hearing like the stories you guys tell, like when you get recognized. Now I've heard this on a couple different ones from a couple different people. Have you ever been approached by that parent was like, I don't know who you are, my kid knows who you are, can you take a picture with them or some shit like that?
Yeah, that's happened a few times, man.
How do you take that when you hear a parent like, I don't know who you are, but would you do this favor for my kid type of thing?
I get it. I like it, man. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's like if people come up to you and are cool and are nice,
mm-hmm.
I like that. Especially like if the kids get a kick out of it too. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because it's the whole reason we do it is to entertain people and know. So if they like it and looks like you're doing your job right, so that's cool. You know what I mean? But every once in a while you might come across somebody who's a little rude, but just blow it off. It's not the end of the world. But for the most part, everyone's really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. Because you always hear war stories or horror stories about just horrible fan encounters, and it's always weird, when you sit there and think about it. You like this guy, but then you're gonna shit on him, or girl. You like this guy or like this girl, and then you shit on him for no reason. It doesn't make any sense. But I posted this question over on social media when I found out I was gonna interview you. And I was like, if you guys could ask Tom anything at all, what would you ask him? And one of my buddies, AJ, he wanted to know about the hat you were wearing, that fishing hat you were wearing in this.
Oh, yeah.
Was that your hat, or was that somebody that gave it to you on the set, or how'd that come about?
That was in the script.
Really?
Yeah. And so they found just a trout cat. Mm-hmm. And David Mickey Evans the writer director.
Yeah.
He was like, it's just not ugly enough. Just he's like, let's get a big fish. So they got a fish and they sewed the fish onto the hat.
Yeah.
And it was an ugly hat, man. And I was looking for that hat for a long time. I got my parents to call Fox and try to get into the wardrobe, and they couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Well, David Mickey Evans held on to it. Mm-hmm. And he gave it to the Louisville Slugger Museum in where is it? Forgot exactly where. I think it's in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so that's where it is. No, Kentucky. It's in Kentucky. Louisville Slug. I think that's where it is. Yeah, Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? So it's in that museum. They have like a little Sandlot section in the museum. I haven't been. A couple of the other guys went.
Yeah.
But yeah, the hat is in there, and then they have like Ham's catcher's mask and a whole bunch of different stuff in there. So Squintz's glasses are in there.
Is that the only place that has done stuff like that for you guys?
Just as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah. Is that weird? Do you ever look at it like, man, it's weird or interesting?
Yeah, it feels like really, it's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
You know what they also did was the actual place where we filmed The Sandlot is still there.
Really?
And we went there they kept it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the tree house is gone, and the two houses are gone because they were just shells.
Yeah.
But the lot is actually there, and the backstop is still up. And kids actually play Little League and stuff there. So it's cool. Like when we went out there for the 25th anniversary, there was a Little League team having practice on the field. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's really, really cool. And they did a nice job keeping it nice and clean and stuff. And then they had a whole bunch, it was like 2,000 people came. Yeah. And they showed the movie for the 25th anniversary. And it was crazy, man. It was just like, I couldn't believe, like, I never thought 25 years later, I'd come back to that field, it would still be there. And you have all these people around to like the movie. It was really, really cool.
When you stepped onto that field 25 years later, what were you feeling or what were you thinking, man?
There's a lot of like memories that came like rushing back. Like it's weird, man, because like sometimes I'll watch the movie and I'll remember things that I did that day as an 11-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like I remember like after the treehouse scene, like me, my brother, and my mom, we went to the mall. I bought like a new Metallica shirt. Like different like memories that I wouldn't have remembered if I didn't see the movie. And that same thing happened when I walked on the field. It's like I remembered Shane punching Pat in the face one day. Like little like funny things, you wouldn't remember unless you were there.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
What was your favorite Metallica song?
Oh, Kill 'Em All is my favorite album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them, but favorite of all time Metallica song?
Yeah. Or if you couldn't pick just one, what's a couple of them?
I like Creeping Death.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tune.
Yeah.
God, I mean, there's so many good ones. It's hard to just pin down one. You know, Ride the Lightning was great, and Justice for All are great.
Yeah.
You know,
One was
I'm
always
not
mine.
one.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, that's a great
That
thing.
guitar solo is killer.
Yeah, that's a creepy video too. You ever seen the video of that?
Yeah, with the dude with the mask on his face and his surgery, and then when you start listening to the lyrics, like I heard it was a kid, and I started listening to this shit. I'm like, this is fucking deeper than just some song, you know? And I was just like, man, you know, yeah, creepy
It's
video.
a rough tune, dude. It's a great tune though.
We're not gonna talk about Sandlot the entire time because I like knowing where you guys come from and what you guys did, and sometimes it overlaps with a lot of the same shit they asked you before. But what were some of like your movies you were watching as a kid or during the Sandlot or cartoons? Do you remember any of that?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, as a kid, I remember I would always watch. I'd get home, I'd watch like DuckTales and Animaniacs and all that thing in the '90s, you know. And then I guess movies, man. I grew up watching a lot. Like my dad, like let us watch whatever he was watching. You know what I mean? Like so, he loved horror movies. So I grew up with like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all those ones. You know what I mean? But I liked a whole bunch of different. I liked a lot of like Eddie Murphy movies growing up. You know, like The Golden Child and
fantastic.
Yeah, like those movies are great, man. Beverly Hills Cop, all that kind of stuff.
Well, what's your go-to Eddie Murphy movie when you want to laugh?
Oh man, I'll go with. I usually put on like Delirious or Raw, like his stand-up stuff.
Yeah.
But his movie, I mean, I really love The Golden Child. I also like the one he did, Distinguished Gentleman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that just stopped, you know, doing stand-up and then was just strictly movies, and then 20 years down the road, you know, is when 20, 25 years, however long it's been since his last stand-up special. And then you see him pop up and do these little bits and stuff. You're like, this dude is fucking phenomenal. He hasn't missed a step. He doesn't look like he's aged. He's doing the same cadence, it's crazy to see, you know, a master really do that type of shit.
Yeah. And you know what's so cool? Like, because it's hard, man. It's I give a lot of respect to stand-up comedians. It's not easy to make people laugh, man.
Yeah.
You know, but when you see some comedians, like, they're so good because it doesn't seem like a shtick. It's just natural. Yeah. Like they're just naturally funny. Yeah. And like Murphy's like just one of those dudes that's just naturally funny, you know? Is he
if you had a Mount Rushmore of comedians, is he on your top?
Yeah, you'd have to give it to him. Richard Pryor. I get a kick out of Bill Burr. Like, Bill Burr's
fantastic. Him. It's Chappelle has always been my number one guy, and most people put Pryor up there. Most people put Murphy up there. But Dave Chappelle, hands down, he's who I was watching when I was growing up. And then it's like 1A and 1B essentially, or 2A and 2B between Chris Rock and Bill Burr for me. Probably Bill Burr because he's been more prolific. And if you've never seen his rant when he just destroyed Philadelphia,
dude, that was
15
great.
minutes of just shitting on an entire city and an entire people. It was funny, fantastic, man. But yeah, so when you guys were doing this movie, how long were some of your days when you were shooting this film?
Well, they don't work kids really as long as adults. So I think I usually like a 10-hour, anywhere from like 8-10 hours. You know, that's usually about it. Yeah. I don't think we ever really went over 12 hours at all.
What was your favorite scene that you like shooting? And then what was your favorite scene when you saw the movie cut up and, you know, edited?
Well, it was really hot, man. It was hot. Every day we were sweating, you know. So I really liked the treehouse scene because we were in a stage. There was air conditioning. But I really enjoyed the scene. Like, it was a fun scene to film, you know, just all of us hanging out and talking. So that was probably my favorite scene that we shot. But watching the movie, I think my favorite scene is the 4th of July.
It's so pretty with all the fireworks and everybody just sitting there. It's a very beautiful shot.
Yeah, it was cool.
And it feels like America. Like when you think of America, right? You think of fireworks. You think of 4th of July. You think everybody standing out, barbecue and shit. And you guys captured Americana just in that one clip. Just a fantastic. When that scene happened in the treehouse, right? When Ham threw out that line that you would forever be tied to. did they not recite that? I'm sorry. Did they? Was that something that they were always saying on the set after that, or was that just something that came with pop culture?
That line just kind of caught on because he says it a few times in the movie.
Yeah.
But his delivery, I think, is what made it catchy, because his delivery was pretty great.
Yeah.
We filmed it a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
He would do like little differences in each take, Patrick. But the one they used I thought it was perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, I think that's what it was. His delivery was so funny. I think that's what made it catch on.
Yeah, I mean, being a redheaded dude, he was somebody you always saw him and just pop up and stuff. Like Big Green, he was in. My favorite, other than the Sandlot, with him was always Son-in-Law, because I was a huge
Son-in-Law, yeah.
I was a huge Pauly Shore fan, and it's one of those ones that's funny. When you guys, because you said that you guys didn't work the same amount of hours that an adult actor would work. Were you guys able to work on multiple projects being a kid, or was that something that would just add up at the end?
I think I never worked on. I usually was lucky just to get one job, and then maybe next year be lucky if we got another one. But I knew a couple kids. I don't know if any of them did on the Sandlot, but it's hard though to juggle a few things at the same time. I mean, but I think filming Sandlot, it would be hard to work on anything else while filming that.
Were you guys doing that during summer, or were you guys?
Yeah. It was June through end of August, so it was only for 3 months. Yeah.
You figure I always it's crazy when I hear you guys only work on something for a few weeks or a few months, and then you look at it like, man, how does this not take 6 to 8 months just to film you guys' scene?
The longest film I ever worked on was Black Hawk Down, because that was 6 months. Yeah, it was fun, man, but it was a long time. I think it was almost a full 6 months out in Morocco.
Yeah. Were you guys did you guys, because I'm a Navy guy, I got out a few years back, but were you guys filming that before? I know it came out right around the time of September 11th, I believe, 2001.
Yeah.
But was that filmed pretty close to?
We filmed it in 2000.
2000.
So it was January of 2000. And So it was like, I think it came out, I'm trying to remember. I think it came out a little after September 11th.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. That was another fantastic, like, I'm not a huge war movie guy. Like, there's some things that, like, I'm a huge WW2 fan, World War II. So anything about that I really liked. And then this, like I said, this came out, I don't even think I'm a high school yet, mate. No, for sure not. I'm definitely in 6th or 7th grade when September 11th happened.
Okay.
But
I was in the air.
Yeah.
I flew out to go to California on the morning of September 11th. The only reason I used Philadelphia Airport is because my friend told me his dad flies out of Philly.
Yeah.
So I usually flew out of Newark. So I got lucky, and I grounded in Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
And it took me like a week to get home, and it was crazy. It was nuts. And my dad worked in Manhattan. He only worked like 15 blocks away from where it happened.
Yeah.
So I was all freaked out, at the time. It was a horrible day for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that's probably the first time I was ever scared of not just like normal kid shit, but like, you're not going to be able to go outside. Like, we didn't go back to school for 3 days. And where I live at, there is a huge Puerto Rican population here. And there's a huge Puerto Rican population in New York. So all of the kids that went to my school, a lot of them were from New York. So I'm just sitting around, and we didn't know what happened. Like, they wheeled in the little TV, and I can't remember the teacher's name, but the English class, they wheeled in the TV. And I just remember sitting there. I'm like, why are we watching this? And then they're showing clips of it just hitting the side. And then the principal came and just started shutting everybody's, like, you guys can't be showing this. You're going to scare these kids. And then after that, it was like everybody started getting pulled out. All of my friends were gone. Riding the bus, there's like 6 of us, 7 of us. And then this is the first time, like, somebody knocks on my door, and then I go to answer the door and nobody was there. And there's my next door neighbor, Bill, crazy Bill, no fucking shirt on, just walking around, asking if people wanted some plants and shit like that. And he just comes over, he's like, hey man, did you hear the news? He scared the piss out of me. Sweetest guy in the world. But when nobody's there and then magically crazy Bill's there, you get kind of worried. But yeah, it was a crazy. How old were you when that happened?
When you were 20.
20?
20, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, 20.
Were you ever a Family Guy fan?
Yeah.
You know who was Seth MacFarlane, the guy that created Family Guy, was supposed to be on one of those planes. I was talking to somebody last week, and he had gotten caught in traffic, and
he didn't make the wow.
He didn't make the flight, and when you sit there and think about this shit, you're like, fuck, man,
There
19
would have been no
years.
Family Guy, man.
There would have been nothing. I mean, I think it was on Fox at that point in time, but it had been canceled or some shit like that. So
Oh
when you
shit!
really,
Yeah, it was canceled first, and then they brought
yeah,
it back.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just crazy when you start to think like your dad's 15 blocks away. You know, something could have happened, and this guy's on his way to the airport, was going to be on this flight, and then it goes down, and it's just crazy to see where we've gone and come from in just 19 short years.
yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I don't know how we got on the fucking 9/11, but that's why this one's called What's in My Head, man. This shit goes all over the place. But something I've always been interested with you guys, because like I said, I work in the kitchen during the week. What were you guys eating on the set? I mean, did they feed you guys pretty well?
Yeah, they feed you good. They usually is a catering truck.
Yeah.
And yeah, the food is always usually pretty good there. You know, they usually make some different stuff, and then there's always craft service. The moms on the show kind of put a squash on the candy, so it's pretty much like fruits and kind of celery sticks and that kind of stuff. But no, yeah, they feed you good.
Who was trying to smuggle candy after they put the?
I think it was probably me, Shane, probably Brandon too. I think he liked some of that stuff. So
yeah. What was your go-to candy trying to sneak on set?
Oh, dude, I'm always down with the Hershey bars, Baby Ruth.
Those almond ones are delicious.
Yeah, man, I love that stuff.
Yeah, that's my go-to. So you guys shot this for 2 months, and you said that one of your favorite scenes was that 4th of July scene, and the treehouse scene. What was your least favorite scene to shoot?
Oh man, the least favorite, probably the scenes where we're running from the dog.
Oh,
when we're all like together at the end, we're chasing the dog, chasing Benny. Yeah. Because it was so hot. I remember the one time we were running, and it must have been like 102 degrees, and the Steadicam guy's in front of me, and I'm running, and I went out and I smashed into the camera. It was so hot. We were running, and I'm wearing like 60s clothes that weren't too good in the summertime. So it was really hot, man. But other than that, the movie was a blast though, the film. Yeah. Like anytime I think back on the memories of it, it was like summer camp.
Yeah.
It was like an acting baseball summer camp. That's what the movie was like, filming it. It was cool.
Yeah. Well,
it was a lot of fun.
Who out of the entire cast made you laugh more?
Oh, dude, I'd have to go with Victor.
Yeah.
Victor DeMattia. Yeah, he would always make me laugh. He was the one who he got stuck in the treehouse and the vacuum exploded all over him. Yeah. He was a funny dude, man. He still is a funny dude. And Patrick's hilarious. They're all good guys. I mean, like that's the thing. It was great working with them all, and it's fun, talking with them still, seeing them again because they're all great dudes. We got lucky. We had a really, really good cast. Everyone's a good guy. Yeah. Now,
with this time in the industry, with the industry you guys work in, everything's a reboot. Everything's a redo. Have they approached some of you guys that were in that original cast to, kind of usher in a new Sandlot or something like that?
They discussed it. They floated around some ideas, but I'm not too sure if it ever, was going to get off the ground or not. I know Disney Plus was interested for a while, but with COVID and everything, I'm not too sure if it's going to happen anytime soon.
Would you be interested?
But yeah, I mean, what's that?
Would you be interested in seeing it come back with you guys as the original cast?
Yeah, I think it would be, it'd be a fun thing to do. You know what I mean? I think people would get a kick out of it. But yeah, I mean, if it would actually comes to fruition, I would love to. I'd love to be a part of it. I think it would be cool.
Just reprise Smalls. I mean, I'd probably have to call you Big at this point,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it would be fun though to play the same character 30 years later. It'd be hilarious.
Now, it's crazy. Like whenever I see you, man, I just think of that little fucking kid with his big ass hat, sweating his ass off. Had you played any sports before then, or because I know you?
I played baseball. Actually, my little league coach, after he saw the movie, he called up, and my mom was like, Mr. Miller's on the phone. So I get on the phone. He's like, what did you do to me? He's like, now I'm going to look like the worst coach in the world. But no, I played baseball and I did some other stuff. Yeah, but it was actually because the director would always take me aside while we were filming it. And he was like, he would show me like different ways to like try to throw to make it look more pathetic, make it really look like you suck, So I thought it was pretty funny. It was cool.
Yeah. He's like, we got you up here. We need you right about here.
Yeah, we need your suckiness to be a little bit lower.
Well, I guess that's it's a sign to your testament of being a good baseball player, a decent baseball, whatever you want to call yourself. It's like, hey man, you're really good. This character really sucks. We need you to play like shit for a little while. So it's always fun seeing that and hearing that type of stuff. Did the other guys play baseball at all, or did you have to show them stuff? Or
I think a lot of the guys did. A few of them didn't, they just, they played other sports. They just weren't big into baseball. So they had like a couple week baseball camp, I guess you could call it. They teach them how to, do everything. And I think that, by the end of it, everyone could pretty much hold their own, with the game,
Now, what was it? Because you played with two, I don't want to say the most recognizable voice, James Earl Jones for sure, one of the most recognizable voices ever. And not until later years with Dennis Leary when I started picking up him on Rescue. The show Rescue Me was fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Oh man, it's one of those ones that, especially after, we just talked about September 11th, but after that happened, and then you see in a time, especially in Black Hawk Down, they don't really talk about mental health or mental illness. They talk about it more now than they did back then, but to see that type of stuff really get talked about in that show is just phenomenal. And both those actors are just phenomenal actors. Did either one of them, just show you some stuff like, hey man, try this, or, did they ever try to mentor you at all?
Not too much. James was there for like 3 days. Mm-hmm. He worked on it, and he was a really nice guy. Very personable, and he was really cool. Mm-hmm. And Dennis was really cool too. I mean, but they pretty much just kind of stuck to the script, and because it was David wrote a great script, so it was all pretty much there on the page type thing. So we just went beat by beat with it and did it. But there were two really nice guys. And then it's funny looking back because I was lucky. My first movie to work with such great actors. It was really cool.
That was your first movie?
Yeah, that's my first one.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
What a great one to start it with, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I set the bar pretty high with Sandlot. It was cool.
Well, so when you take a look back, right, and you sit here and think, fuck, man, I was in probably the biggest, coming of age cult classic, whatever you want to call it, right? Biggest movie. And you sit back and you think, shit, I worked with Darth Vader and I worked with, Dennis Leary. Does it still feel weird? I mean, or is it you pretty much accepted it, or you moved on to that type of thing, or? Well,
yeah, it's weird because sometimes I forget that I did it. I mean, so once in a while you think back on it and you're like, oh shit, you're like it's pretty cool. I mean, it kind of got lucky there. But I mean it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around sometimes. You know what I mean? It's cool.
How many times has your kid watched it?
Well, I got my oldest is going to be 21 next month.
Okay.
So he saw it a lot growing up, but my middle son, James, is 10. He's probably seen it about 3 times.
Yeah. And
then my daughter has watched it. She's 7. She's probably watched it 10 times.
Yeah.
Because she likes Mike. She likes Benny. She won't admit it, but she likes Benny. And each time you say, "Hey, do you like Benny?" her face gets all red.
Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, everybody likes Benny. So, yeah. But so with them watching it, and what was it like watching them watch you at like their age type of thing?
Oh, I got a kick out of it because I did it to both my sons when they were around 5 years old. I put the movie on, and I didn't tell them I was in it.
Yeah.
And I actually got my middle son. I have it on film, and he's watching the movie, and I guess around halfway through, he starts looking. Just looking. And then he's like, and I'm like, yeah, it's me. Yeah. So it's funny because you see the wheels turning in their head. They're like looking, they're squinting at the TV and shit.
Yeah.
So it was cool. Yeah. I got a kick out of it.
Whenever I ask guys like this or the women that are on the show, it's always funny to see their response because do you know who? I know you mentioned Animaniacs earlier. But you know who Rob Paulson is? He did Yakko from Animaniacs. Right?
Yeah.
So I had him on, and then because he would just start going off on all the voices that he's done. Just he'd go on a tangent. It was cool. And I was like, what was Thanksgiving like? And he's like, oh, it's great. I used to just swing from the chandeliers type of thing. And then I was like, what was it like having kids during this age? And he was like, you know, it was weird because their kids' friends or his kids' friends would call him. And he's like, Dad, it's for you. And then he'd go and answer the phone and they'd want to talk to Yakko, or they want to talk to Carl, or they want to talk to somebody, right? Have you ever, you know, been out in public and then your kid be like, hey, man, hey, these guys, they got that shirt on, or do they try to self-promote you is what I'm getting at?
Yeah, once in a while. Once in
Yeah.
a while they will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the most popular shirt is Patrick.
Yeah.
You know, the hands on it. And then like, so we'll see that every once in a while. And like my son will be like, that's my dad's good friend. And they'll like look, they're like, what? They don't get, yeah, it's funny.
That's awesome, man. I always like seeing that, you know, no pun intended, that inside baseball.
Yeah.
Going back to baseball, what position did you play? You know,
I was actually the second year I played, I was a pitcher, but I was shortstop. And then or pitcher.
Did anybody ever use the Sandlot against you when you were playing against them?
No, not really, because I stopped playing actually the year it was like the next year, but Sandlot wasn't that popular. I don't think not many of the kids, I don't think saw it as of yet. So no one really bothered me on the team. I'm sure, you know, if I gave it a couple more years playing ball, I would have got it.
What was did you just not want to do baseball? You did other sports, or?
Yeah, no, I started going into other things, and I actually started working on more films.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, when baseball season was usually going on, I wasn't around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, priorities, right? You know, you got shit you gotta do, you got stuff you need to do, got a bills paid, right? So with some of those other things you worked on, which one? I'm assuming it's going to be Sandlot. You know, when I ask you this question, but which one holds that special place? Is it Sandlot or is that Black Hawk Down?
Actually, we Sandlot in U-571.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It was a World War II submarine movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that was almost a 6-month shoot too. I did that in it was a Matt McConaughey movie.
Okay.
And I did it. It was with John Bon Jovi, Matt McConaughey, and Bill Paxton.
Fantastic.
And, they were cool dudes, man. And it was a small group of us, and we filmed in Rome and in Malta for 3 months each. It was really, really cool. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool. We filmed at Cinecittà Studios in Rome, and it was really cool. And I remember Matt McConaughey wanted to throw a tequila party before we started filming.
Yeah.
And I think they were like passing around, you know, the word that, you know, they're going to have a tequila party. But McConaughey wasn't that famous yet in Italy, at least, you know what I mean? Because he only did like A Time to Kill, Contact, Dazed and Confused. So he wasn't like a huge star in Europe yet. You know? So he passed around, come to John Bon Jovi's tequila party. So we had like half of Rome like waiting outside this bar, and John Bon Jovi came and he played like Elvis songs all night.
Yeah.
And it was like 4 hours of him playing Elvis songs. Dude. And I was like standing next to Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton's like smoking hash, and he's like, "This is movie star shit, man. This is movie star shit." It was a blast, man. It was a lot of fun. So it was like between Sandlot and I was only 18 when I made that movie, you know. So between Sandlot and that one, it was probably the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah. Now, I've never seen that movie. I've got that one saved over here. I'm gonna watch that later. Because like I said, I like that World War II era and probably right up my alley. Now, my first boat that I worked on, we were a sub tender, so we were a boat that mainly fixed the subs. Did you get to go on any of the warships or any of, you know, actual subs for this movie?
No, what they did was they gave us something called sub school, which was like a week where we learned about the you know, the different subs, but they had a recreation of a World War I sub. Because that's what we were using. Actually, it was World War II, but it was an old World War I sub, I think, on the American side. So we used that, and then it was a German World War II submarine that we were on. So they had two recreations, but it was most of the time we were on the German World War II sub. Yeah, and they made it a little bit bigger. It was like 30% bigger than it actually was. Yeah, and they can move the walls out and everything, but once it was all closed up together, you know what I mean? I'm like sitting on this thing and I'm thinking, man, I couldn't believe these people actually, I'd be so claustrophobic.
Oh yeah.
And this was even bigger than the ones that they were on, you know?
Yeah.
So I gave, that's what it kind of hit me. It's like, I gave a lot of credit to those guys. I mean, I couldn't do it, man. Cause I get claustrophobic. I would go crazy.
There's so there you got surface for Navy. So you got surface and air. So essentially the boats and, you know, your planes and helicopters. And then you got subsurface, which is your submarines. And I got to go on one, and that's all it took. I'm a pretty tall dude. I'm about 6'2". You know, so I'm fairly tall or fairly average at this point in time. I don't know what it is, but I remember getting on one, and then you got to walk down, right? You know, sit there, ladder down it. And when you get on there, before they even closed that hatch, and all they did was just close it. We didn't go underwater or anything. We were just looking at it. Never been on one. And walking through this, I can't remember what they called them, but there was a circle. And then on us, it would be a knee knocker because it was, you know, going through an airtight door. But you'd have to sit here and launch yourself in here. And then they showed us all the racks and where they ate. And it was crazy because they would do something called hot racking. And hot racking is you're 12 on, 12 off. So two people share one bed, essentially. And then just being down there like, yeah, you want to be a part of the sub community? I'm like, absolutely not. I like my bed my way. I don't want to smell somebody else's farts in here and just whatever else is going on. That's disgusting. But like I said, when they closed that hatch and everything got real quick, I'm like, oh man. And I've never been claustrophobic before in my life. And I'm just sitting here, I'm sweating. My palms are sweating. I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. It's so bad. But it was an interesting experience nonetheless. What drew you to that movie? I mean, was it just a call from the agent or?
Yeah, I was actually going to college in New York. I was going to Marymount, Manhattan. And I think it was me. I was staying at my friend Andy's place. Him and his girlfriend had an apartment. Mm-hmm. And it was like a 9 o'clock in the morning audition.
Yeah.
And I think we went out the night before, and my friend, he wakes me up and he's like, don't you have an audition today? It was like 8:45. Mm-hmm. I had a pounding headache. I'm like, oh God. So I get up and like, I ran like 20 blocks down and I go into the audition room and I look horrible. I must have looked like, I was probably white as a sheet. You know, I felt sick to my stomach. I was hungover. So they call me into the room. And the director it was supposed to be the scene where I'm about to, at the end of the movie, I die, you know, so I drowned. And I don't want to go back down into the water and everything. So I'm supposed to be real scared and everything like that. So I did the scene and I like felt terrible. And I was like, I must have done a horrible job. And the director was like, that was great. He was like, you look white as a sheet. I'm like, yeah, I do. And I got the part.
Yeah, you just gotta be more hungover on your your tryouts and shit, right? Your auditions. So think about it this way though. You did Sandlot, your first movie, right? Huge. Was that one the next one? Was that the second one?
No, I did Sandlot, and then I did I did a TV movie. I did a TV movie called Gregory K, A Place to Be Loved. It was about the kid who divorced his parents in the 90s. I did the CBS version, and at the same time, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was playing the same character on the NBC version, I think. So there was like these two TV movies of the same thing that they were in. He did a better job. But then I did the movie Lassie after that.
Okay, and I remember that one.
That movie is hysterical because my hair in that movie was like, I had this mullet and it was nuts, man. Like the jean jacket and everything like that. It was crazy. But that was a fun movie to work on. And then I did a few more TV movies, and then I stopped around high school. Yeah. Around freshman year of high school, I was in that awkward transition kind of phase and everything like that. And it wasn't until I was around 18 I started working again, like U571. So
yeah. Now, I don't want to say what you guys do isn't normal because that's not just fair for me to say. So I can only say like what I've done, I guess, is normal, like going to school, that type of stuff. What is that like as a kid, being in movies or on TV shows and just trying to live normal, I guess? And I don't mean that to be like disparaging.
No. I mean, it's a valid question. It can be a little difficult. You know what I mean? You can't really blend into the crowd anymore. You know what I mean? As much as you want. You know, because people still look at you differently. And that's just the way it is. But after a while, like when I went to high school, it was a little difficult at first, you know what I mean? Because kids can be, kind of mean and stuff. Yeah. But after a while, they get to know you, and people stop giving a shit. You know what I mean? That's just really the way it is. And then that just becomes normal to them, and you just find a way to fit in, Yeah. But if you're the kind of person that is really self-conscious, which I can be, or because truthfully, I'm can be pretty shy. I mean, that's the whole reason I started acting, was to try to get myself out of being shy. It's easier when you can be somebody else besides you. But
everybody wants to do it,
But if you're that kind of person, it can be difficult. But if you're not, it might not be that bad.
Yeah. It's always like I said, it's always great hearing like how you guys think, and it's not like you guys are any different than anybody else. We're all human at the end of the day, but it's just we're built by our experiences, our past experiences, or the experiences yet to come, that type of shit, some philosophy type of stuff, whatever you want to call it. But it's always crazy to think that like you go from TV or movies or on a big screen somewhere, and then you got to write in this damn journal about fucking periodic table. Was it hard to like school? What was school like for you? Was it fun?
Well, I really wasn't. I wouldn't say that I wasn't a good student. I just didn't really apply myself as looking back as much as I could have, because I think people gravitate a lot towards what they want to do. And I always knew that I wanted to act. That was my thing. So like things like math and science, like I just wasn't into it, so that's why I barely passed it, but other things that I like English or history, I enjoyed that more, so I did well in it. So I think that was just the thing. If I could go back, I probably would have applied myself a little bit better.
I think we all would. I know I would for sure. Before my senior year, I had like a 1.8 GPA, 1.7, somewhere around there, so you had to have a 2.0 or some shit at least to graduate. And then that was the first year I actually tried in school. And then I got all A's with the exception of one class. He gave me an F on my final project. I ended up finishing the class with a B. He was a dick. I can't remember his name. My yearbook's around here somewhere. But my mom wanted to fight him. It was like the first time I'd ever really worked on projects or, gave a shit, right? Because I wanted to hand my mom that diploma. And then I worked so hard on this project report, and then he gave me an F on it.
What a dick.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
Was it bad? Was it really bad?
Nah, it wasn't bad at all. So with the senior project, you had to go and you had to find like a documentary, a book, or a movie that inspired you in some way. And when I was really into like films and documentaries and stuff, the movie called Super Size Me, the Morgan Spurlock documentary about McDonald's, I was so like, I watched this thing like kids these days watch cartoons or just the same movie over and over. It was just something that was so cool, and just seeing that. And then his TV show 30 Days, where he'd put himself in somebody else's shoes for 30 days. So I took that premise, and then I talked about like all of the things that he went and found about how his body changed from eating nothing but McDonald's for 30 days. So, and everything was statistics and all this other stuff. And then he was like, this is just somebody's personal opinion. This isn't really scientific fact. You fail. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, this guy went from, 180 or whatever it was to 240 pounds, just like say it for an example. I was like, you can't say this is just hyperbole. This is just hypothetical. This guy's body changed in 30 days for the worst because of what he was doing. And it's just because I had a whole bunch of blow-ups with him. He's just a douche. And then I told my mom. Yeah, I told my mom. My mom read the report because she was always that mom that was like, you're probably the problem. You're probably cutting up, or it's not always the teacher. You can't say this. You've been saying that for 10 years now. You can't say that. And then she was like, wow, you actually did a pretty good job on this. I'm like, thanks, I think. And then she went to bat for me and wanted to fight the teacher. But, his ruling was that I didn't do the job. So I had a B instead of an A, but I'm here now. So
yeah, right.
Joke's on him. I'm getting to talk to you, man. So, everything came up in my house, right? But so when you were going to college, what were you going to college for?
I went for theater.
Yeah?
I went for Marymount, Manhattan. I did one semester, then I got that movie. Did that movie, and then I went back. I did another semester, and then I got Black Hawk Down, and then I just never went back to school after that.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun though. It was fun.
Now, when you were saying that you would like, you didn't like math or science as much, you liked English or history, that type of stuff. When you're doing theater school, was it all just like fun? I mean, was it the same thing as high school, or?
No, it was, you had to go to, like I had a math class that I had to actually really study for because I stunk at math. There's a whole bunch of regular curriculum you have to do. Yeah. But then you also have, theater class. And, which was fun for me because I did a lot of theater growing up, like, summer workshops and different things. And I read a lot of plays, and a lot of the things that they were teaching at school, I already read, a lot of plays, so it was cool. I had to do a report on Buried Child by Sam Shepard, and Sam Shepard was in Black Hawk Down. Yeah. And so he's sitting there, and he took like a month. We were filming for like a month, then he showed up, and he was sitting at the bar at the hotel, and he was talking to one of the ADs, and he was drinking like straight scotch or whatever, So I saw him there, and I'm like, I want to go up and say, hello. So I waited until like he was kind of by himself, and I walked. I go, hey, Mr. Shepard, how are you? He's like, yeah, pretty good. Doing? I go, yeah, I'm in the movie and everything. And I talked to him. He's a cool guy, and then I said, oh, by the way, I did a report at school on your play, Buried Child. And he leans in. He goes, what did you get? Like, I go, oh, I got a B. And he boom punches me like right here in the stomach. I go, oh, like not too hard, but it's enough to like take the wind out of you. He grabs me. He goes, you should have got an A. I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, he was cool, man. So I got a kick out of meeting him, man. It was cool.
So that's awesome, man. Is that the first, not the first time, because I'm pretty sure you've done it since. Because like I said, you guys are just like just normal human beings, man. You just do something a little different. Who was the first person, or who's somebody you fanboyed out on?
Probably Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always a huge Sean Penn fan, man. I remember as a kid, I like watched that movie At Close Range. I think my mom rented it, and I was like, dude, I want to be like that dude. I just thought he was cool in that movie. And, so when I worked on Mystic River, I was in that one. Yeah. And Clint Eastwood, he was the director, and it was weird, man, because like I'd never really been, starstruck. Yeah. But him and Sean Penn were probably the two guys like they talk to you and you just don't know what to say. Just like it's what it was like. So yeah, those are the two. Yeah.
What was it like working with him and then working, with Clint Eastwood? I mean, that's a Hall of Fame level people right there when it comes to your profession,
Yeah, I mean, Clint was great. He works a lot with the same crew, so they get things done quick. Yeah. I mean, we would get on this each day I worked. I would have like a 7:30 in the morning call, and I would get done work by like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Which is like unheard of. But he doesn't do many takes, Clint. He does like maybe 3 or 4 takes, and that's usually it. So you have to be kind of on top of your game when you're working. But yeah, he doesn't do many takes.
Now with takes, right? Every director obviously is going to be different. But like in your experience, whenever they say, let's take it again, let's do it again, do they give you direction, or do you listen to what their directions, or do you have something in your mind like, shit, man, I probably do this a little bit better this way?
Well, the way I usually go about it, like I have a tendency of going a little bit over, so usually I need a director to tell me like reel it back in. Yeah. You're going a little over the top there. But that's usually what, in my opinion, that's what the director's job is to do. And my job as the actor is to try to get the director's vision across, So yeah. I'll try my best. So if a director's doing a lot of takes and is not able to tell the actor what exactly he wants out of them, then you can have take 18, take 19, take 20. To me, it's just showing that there's maybe a lack of communication between the director and actor. Possibly, yeah.
Now, how do I put this? How many takes? What's your record for takes? Do you remember? Or
oh shit. Oh man, that's a good question. Oh God. You know what was a hard scene to do? Truthfully, it was the Sandlot. Was the scene where I have the arm in the air and it just has it, and then the ball goes into it, because they were trying for a while to actually get the pitching machine to land it in my glove, man. And then they tried throwing it in my glove. Finally, what they did is they set up like a PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Rolled the ball down it, and then it landed right in it. But that took a while, man, to get that shot. I remember we did a lot of takes. And there was a lot of times the ball just hit me in the head or hit the top of my hat, that huge hat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there was like 87 takes on that one.
Jesus, man.
It was a lot. I don't remember.
I mean, you nailed the part though. I mean, so there's that. So towards the end of these podcasts, I always go out there and on social media, like I said earlier, and then ask people if they could talk to you. What would they ask you? And then you answered AJ's here just a second ago, buddy from school. He wanted to know about your hat. And no, we need an uglier hat. Let's put a fish on it. So, and then you answered the other one, was the James Earl Jones and Dennis Leary one. The next one was with Marley Shelton, right? Mm-hmm. How many of you guys are just swooning, or did everybody have a crush on her just like Squints, or?
I think we were all normal 12-year-old, 11, 12-year-old boys.
Red-blooded Americans.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty easy question to answer.
Yeah. Let's see. I can't remember what you think better. How many people would you say on a day-to-day basis during the height, or even now, do you get like recognized, or do they like double take? You know what
I get a lot. I'll get what high school did you go to?
Oh, that's where they start.
They start there because they that's when I know like I'm getting recognized for something. I get that a lot. Like, what school did you go to? Like, what high school? That's what I usually get. But it's every once in a while, maybe like once or twice a month. Mm-hmm. I'll go somewhere, and even if they don't ask me, I can see them like looking, or like I remember I was in the food court. I was eating like these loaded cheese fries that I like, and like stuff in my face. And I look over. My wife's here, my kids are here, and I look over, and like there's a group of people like looking, and then they look away, and they're whispering, and I'm like, I'm probably getting recognized right now, and I have like shit all on my face. Yeah. But yeah, so every once in a while it happens.
Did that ever, like when people would recognize you, did that ever like not so much bug your kids out, or would it feel weird for them, or was it just like
no? I think anytime it happened around them, they find it funny.
Yeah, they
find it weird too, because to them, it's just like my dad, like
dad.
Yeah, dad's not cool. So. You know what I mean? Dad tries to be cool, but he's not.
Dad's only cool when he pulls that wallet out, man. That's what I.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when dad's cool.
Yeah. So I got I got a 10-year-old myself, and.
Oh, cool. Little boy or?
Yeah, I got a boy. We tried sports with him. Because I played basketball in high school. And he got onto it really quickly, and then he just didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm like, all right, cool. We're not going to push the issue. We'll try other sport. And then we started watching. I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, dude.
So we were just watching the 2012 one on Nickelodeon, and then his best friend Zen was into karate. He was a junior black belt at that time. He's like, I think I want to do this. So we've been doing that for a year. I mean, he's accelerated. He gets to graduate to his purple belt on Friday, so we're super excited.
Oh, cool.
Then, he just had his second tournament and won first place in his second tournament this past Saturday. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool because like I said, I wasn't there for a lot of it, being in the Navy. I was deployed for like the first 4 years of his life, essentially. So I missed a lot. And now at this stage of my life and whatever career I might have, it's just like he comes first type of thing. And then I remember we're sitting there watching him, and then I kept showing him videos and clips of Mike Tyson. I was like, when you go into this ring, you need to flip that switch, right? You need to be friend, but as soon as your foot touches that mat, you just go to straight killer mode, just destroy everything. So we're walking down the stairs that morning, and we had to be out at like 6 o'clock in the morning because it's like an hour drive down there, and then he had an early fight. So he's like, Dad, I'm feeling good today. And I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to take somebody's lungs today.
Oh, shit.
And the first move he does, he threw a little side kick and caught the kid. He didn't take his lungs from him, but he's like, I'm going to make sure he remembers to block when I kick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was the point competitions, right?
Yeah, he's doing the point karate, almost like a Karate Kid type of thing.
Yeah. I took it as a kid. I took it
Yeah.
for like 4 or 5 years. I loved it, man. It was really good exercise, as a kid. It's good.
I got punched in the nose one time and I figured out it wasn't for me because I really wanted, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just me personally or it's just you slap somebody in the face or you spit in somebody's face, especially being a guy, something bad's going to happen after that, right? It's just the most disrespectful thing you can do, in my opinion, to a guy. And then the guy didn't really hit me hard, but it made my eyes water. And I was like, the first thought I was like, man, I've got a white belt. He's got a black belt. I got to find some way to just beat the shit out of him and get, my little 10, 12-year-old manliness back. And after that, I quit. I fell in love with basketball, but it's one of those sports. It's just like, I love watching it because I love seeing what I possibly would have looked like when I was playing basketball for the first time, winning a game here or scoring the first point or whatever. It's so fun and fantastic. But we've almost hit that hour. So I want to ask you one more question and then we'll call it quits, right? So when, it's all said and done, and I always try to ask the same question just in a different way, depending on who I'm talking to. When it's all said and done, and you've either pushed up the microphone or you've taken off that actor's jacket for the last time. When you think of the movies you've worked on, obviously it's like picking your favorite child, so you probably can't pick one, but what was been your favorite movie that you've worked on?
To watch?
Both.
Watched
And worked on, yeah. If they're not the same.
Sandlot, number one.
Okay.
Because it was my first one, and it didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Every day felt like fun.
Yeah.
And U571, because every day it felt like fun on that too.
Now, with those two movies, when you think of those names for those movies, or somebody brings them up to you, what's the first thought or emotion that that comes up?
Sandlot, it just makes me think of. Actually, it makes me think of my friends and my mom, because my mom was with me that whole shoot, and we were like hanging out a lot. And so that's what it reminds me. Yeah, it reminds me of good stuff. And then the U571 reminds me of my oldest son, because that's where I met his mom, was on making that movie.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's two great memories to have right there, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you were working on that you can talk about, books, movies, TV shows that you can promote here that we can help push?
Yeah, I just finished a Sandra Bullock film. Yeah, it's called it was called Unforgiven, but I think they're going to switch the name of the movie. But it's with Sandra Bullock, Viola Davis, Vincent D'Onofrio,
heavy
my buddy Will Cullen. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. What's funny was that we filmed from January to March, and then we shut down for COVID.
Yeah.
And then we went back at the end of August, and I had to do a 2-week quarantine in Vancouver. And on the second day of quarantine, I got the Bell's palsy. So I woke up and I was eating Cheerios, and everything just started falling out of the side of my mouth, because it completely shuts down the left side of your face.
Yeah. So
I called him up and I said, I called the director up, Nora, and I said, listen, this could take 3 to 6 months to heal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to probably find somebody else. So she goes, let me get back to you. And then it seems like they wrote the problem into the movie. So if you watch the movie, so I kept the job, which is cool. But if you watch the movie, I'll have this in the movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, look, man, I don't give a shit what you look like. I'm just glad you're still here, and you gave like I told when I reached out to your agent. Whenever I reach out to you guys as agents, I never want to go and ask anybody that I don't want to fucking talk. I don't give a shit about them. I mean, but you guys did something with this movie that was so special, and I know you hear this all the time. But this is one of those movies that I always had on me whenever I was deployed. It gave me some kind of solace, some kind of like a piece of home, right? When I was missing my wife and my son, or I was missing being home. And for that, I'll forever be grateful. Like I said, I don't give a shit what you look like, man. If somebody's got an issue with this, they can come talk to me and we can talk, outside, So I'm glad that you're doing good, man. I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad that, you're still working, man. Because I feel like you got a lot of shit you could still say, and you're still saying. And like I said, with the movie like The Sandlot, man, it was just one of those things that held such a special place in my heart. And just like most people, it's fantastic movie. It's timeless. It'll never get old. It should never be retouched, I guess is what I'm saying. That movie, it's one thing for a prequel or something down the road with the original cast, but hopefully they never touch the integrity of that original movie, unless you guys are, attached to it, which would be a lot better. Like I said, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time for me today, but also for being a part of fucking history, man. I mean,
cool.
It's been fantastic. It's been fun. I can't wait to see this movie. I've got the one saved over here. I'm going to go watch me some submarine movies.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Hey, man, thank you for your service too, by the way.
Oh, thanks, brother, man.
And this has been it's been awesome, man. You're a really cool dude. I'm glad it's been fun chatting with you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, whenever this comes out, I'll make sure I send you guys over links so you can see it. But you can follow. Where can they find you? So you on social media at all or anything like that?
No, I just got off Facebook for a while, man. Just the negativity is just too much for me. It was like I was taking a break.
Yeah,
I might get back on it in a little bit, but taking a little break from it for a while.
Well, if he comes back on, make sure you go and give Tom a good old follow. You can follow us.